how is gonna be the future of cutlery? First of all, I need to say that by cutlery, I mean small things that are used for eating food, such as knife, forks, spoons, that are used in a house, restaurant, buffet, and hotel. The way people eat has changed during the whole history. This movie work have the objective of researching how this issue in human daily basis life have been transformed through history to enable the prediction of what is going to happen 30 years into the future. My name is Marco Kanji, and I'm a 23 years old student at Hyper Island in UK, and I'll be your guide in this journey. And the reason I choose this topic is because everyone needs to eat for surviving, so it's a really interesting way of helping people in everyday lives. Further than that, the relevance of this work in my life is the fact that the production and distribution of houseware, tabletop, decoration and mainly cutlery is being on practice in my family business since 2000. Since then, we hold a manufacturing important called Rogemaki that distributes houseware products to houses in all over Brazil. In conclusion, the reason that will drive me in this work is predicting a way that will mainly overcome the needs of humans 30 years from now to facilitate the way they eat, as well as helping the company on having the best products to strive the lead of this near future, because the future is happening now.
Knives, forks and spoons are now laid down daily on every dining table, and their uses are well known. But it was not always so. And although knives in some forms or others exist in times of the greatest antiquity, spoons were not freely used, and forks as feeding implements were quite unknown to the end. Spoons probably have the longest history of any artifact. They have been made ever since man discovered that handling liquids was vital to his existence. As spoons were an essential tool for everyday life, in those times it were carried everywhere. The first fact that we know about spoons is that they were the first cutlery item invented by humans even before knives and forks. In fact, the first spoon documented on England, for example, was just in the 13th century and was an item of collection by the King Edward at the time. A funny fact is that at that time, spoons were used in ceremonies as a demonstration of wealth and power. Then, after those periods, in the 14th century, spoons started to reach also the lower classes and came in many shapes and formats, usually made of low-cost materials as copper, pewter and brass. However, it is noted that the usual design that we see in spoons that we used to eat in the 21st century was made after a lot of changes during Renaissance and Baroque periods. Since prehistorical dates, knives has two purposes: killing and eating. In other words, knives were a weapon and also had a pointed edge to enable people to eat with it. And if you thought that knives were always used to cut things, think again. Indeed, knives were the first forks invented. However, imagine the era of alcohol and wines. This was a really threat to human life. Due to this fact, in the 15th century, Louis XIV prohibited the use of those sharply knives at the table, and so substituted them for wider ones. Also, with the start of the popularity of forks, dinner knives were no longer needed to eat, but just as a cutting tool and no longer with a pointed tip at the end. This was the beginning of the redesigning of knives. Finally, in the 1920s, the invention of stainless steel disrupted forever the market of cutlery, providing an inexpensive, easy to maintain and non-reactive metal for making table knife blades. Finally, the history of forks is very limited due to the fact that it is only in the 17th century that it becomes generally used in Europe. The Romans, Greeks and Arabs, instead of using forks, used their own fingers to eat. So did the Turks up to quite recently. Also, in the other part of the globe, the Hindus and Chinese ate and still eat with tiny sticks. So back then, the popularity of forks among the time is due to the fact that Greeks and Romans had their food already curved and cut, ready to eat, so their followers have continued this practice for centuries. Small forks used for eating first appeared in Tuscany in the 11th century, but they were still a rarity in Italy by the 14th century. It was not until the 16th century that forks were widely adopted in Italy. Then, an Englishman called Thomas Coriaci brought the first forks to England around the 17th century, after a visit to Italy. Although the acceptance of forks was really slow, mainly because they thought it was unnecessary and just the fingers were worthy to touch God's food. But at some point, those tools were accepted by the wealthies in England, who used forks made of expensive materials to impress their guests. Then, forks became more commonly implemented at the table in the early 17th century, and were used for holding food steady while cutting and for covering the food to the mouth. By the early 19th century, multi-tined forks had also been developed in Germany and England, and slowly began to spread to America. After diving ourselves in the past of cutlery, it's time to come back to the present and check how cutlery is affecting daily lives of people around the globe. For people with Parkinson, for example, scientists and engineers in California have developed a spoon with active movement cancellation. This spoon was created by Liftware company and basically analyzed the movement of people's hands when holding the spoons and then immediately do the opposite movement so the food can stand still on the spoon and then go to their mouths. And a smart fork that helps humans to know whether they are eating too fast or not, within the methodology of advising the user and collecting data for then helping them to tackle weight gain and with digestive problems. Reduction in eating rate have been recommended as potential behavioral strategies to prevent, treat overweight. Unfortunately, eating rate is difficult to modify due to its highly automated nature. Training people to eat more slowly in everyday eating context therefore requires creative engaging solutions. Further than that, another opportunity notices is the huge amount of plastic cutlery for parties, events, and mainly street stalls. And also, the use of water for cleaning cutlery is another topic of study. Non-precise global data know the total amount of waste generated by fast food restaurants is available to our knowledge. According to Teja Arnio, a researcher who studied the waste disposal system in finishing McDonald's restaurants, 2/3 of this waste ended up in landfills in 2002. In Italy, the consumption of disposable tableware in 2006 was approximately 8 billion items, a 2.2% increase over the prior year. Of this tableware, 378 million items were disposable cutlery, a 6.3% increase from 2005. The future of cutlery is uncertain, although after identifying both opportunities in health nutrition care and in sustainable products, we can predict what the future holds for the humanity. Regarding the sustainable products in the future, the management of solid waste disposal with regards to the decreasing availability of landfills, the litter problems and the pollution of marine environment are becoming very urgent in the industrialized countries, and the need for solutions stands very quickly to the development countries. Technological aspects such as development of safer and more efficient recycling technologies and materials easy to reuse or recycle or of biodegradable materials can significantly contribute to the solution to those problems. The impact of the global food system on the natural world and on human health is severe. From the obesity epidemic to rising global temperatures, food production and consumption are major drivers in many global trends, and the list of indictments
against it is growing. Without reforming in the next 30 years, as the world population increase and climate change continues, these problems will be magnified. But the extensive impacts of food also means that reforming the system is an unmissable opportunity to have decisive positive impacts on the health of people and the planet. After knowing this, we see that a real possible future are smart edible cutlery. Imagine you are at a party where a delicious dinner is being served, and you learn that you can eat the spoon too. Better still, if you are the host, you don't have to worry about doing dishes. Global chefs and food companies have been playing with this idea for some time. A while ago, KFC unveiled its first edible coffee cup made with biscuits. This kind of new way of eating today, made with jar, rice and wet flour, is in the first steps, but will be much more durable and made with better materials and also combined with technology, and in many kind of products as well, like cups, plates and many more. In this way, 30 years in the future, cutlery will become the food, and also will help to control our health in an easy way. This movie work gone through the most ancient stars of cutlery and aim to do a deep research in which are the trends for the future, seeing that healthcare and environment issues are the greatest opportunities for the future of cutlery. My name is Marco Kanji, and I hope you have enjoyed and learned in this journey. Any feedback of this work, please feel free to subscribe to my email. Thank you very much.